All right. Good morning, everybody. Tyler, afternoon. For those of us joining from the Midwest and East. Okay, we're gonna give everybody a minute or two, and we'll get rolling. Basically, last month master class, we went over some kind of basics in the data sets and flow steps. So this month we're going to go through and focus more on the dashboards, just run through just the basic kind of visual types, building a dashboard, and then really excited to show you guys some things that are coming in the upcoming release, expected end of April, which might make the experience a lot more easy. So without further ado, today we're going to just build a sales team dashboard, basically. So the purpose of this dashboard will be to track kind of activities, top of the funnel to the bottom of the funnel. So interactions, and then quoting, and then orders. So we'll go ahead and create a new dashboard here. Okay. And the first step to the building of the dashboard is going to be selecting the data. So one thing we're going to go and add the log file. For those that aren't on Rover ERP, but are using Rover BI or AI, the log file is basically something that can register communications with contacts, prospects, customers. It can actually be attached to any record in the ERP. So it could be AR, it could be AP, etc. But in this case, we're going to use it primarily from a sales purpose. Okay. And then we're going to add the quote data set from our demo account. And we're going to add the SO data set from our demo account. So first step, building dashboards. What data am I going to basically visualize? Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and start to run through the elements. Just a reminder, we were focused on data sets. We got through Magic Visual last month too. So if you want to refer to that, please go back and check that out. It should be in YouTube. But we're going to start kind of just going down this list today. And the first thing we're going to talk about are panels. Panels to me are pretty useful just for larger dashboards where you're going to have blocks of data that maybe are topical. They're kind of segmented from the rest. So you might want unique filters. You might want unique data sets behind them. So here we're going to create like a header panel, which is just for maybe talking about what this dashboard is. And now we're going to add another panel for the activity or log, we'll call it. Okay. Quote. And orders. Okay. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to jump in one element here is on the header. Now that you have panels, we can basically add elements within a panel by clicking this plus button. So in this case, I am going to jump down a little bit and just show you the HTML static option. So this is something where, we're just going to make like a quick little table, and we're going to, insert an image here. We'll put a logo in here. Okay. And then here we're just going to type in. Okay. And this has kind of just a nice little text editor. If you are, for those who are kind of, HTML gurus or using AI, you can also kind of drop into the code view and also build it that way. But this is basically, we're just using this typically just to kind of brand or kind of like basically indicate what the dashboard is for. So if you're using this, you could be using this for your suppliers, your customers, whoever you're going to publish this to. That's kind of the purpose there. So, okay. So then we're going to get started with the sales activity. So just going back to these elements, we're going to talk about the Discover feature real quick, which is kind of helpful in quickly generating, some of these visuals. So I'm going to just basically pick a data set. So we're in the log panel. I'm going to use the log data set, and we're just going to, pick a few fields that are interesting to us. So we'll go with created by. Name in this case means our customer. And let's see. Oh, okay. And then we have also contact or name cross reference. We'll do that. So here, this Discover tool is just going to kind of give us, some ideas, or maybe it's a one-off, and you really like this. We can just basically add the visual here, and we're saving it, and we can then basically close out the Discover tool and panel complete. We can also move these things around, just drag them. A lot of times they like to shift a little bit when we're working with them. We can use this feature also to move to the top, bottom, or to even within visuals to kind of move them between panels. So that's the Discover feature. One quick way to give you some ideas for visuals that maybe, if you're not going from scratch. Now we're going to kind of show you, kind of run through them through building them from scratch. But okay, so far I'm going to go ahead and save here just so I don't lose anything. That's probably just habit and fear from past experience. Okay. All right, so now we're going to go and drop to this quote panel, and we're going to start to look at just different charts. So actually, that Tyler, if you would, I'll kind of kick it over to you for this part. So.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So yeah, I won't run through every chart that's available to you. That may get a little long. I think it would make sense to focus on ones that I find myself coming back to kind of again and again. So to Bill's point, you can add an element, and an element is just a visual either through clicking in your tile, or you can also add elements over here as well. So, of course, bar chart is going to be a very standard one that you'll find yourself coming back to again and again. And just to kind of show you an example, we'll do top 10 customers. So you have the ability to choose your data set up here. For this one, we're going to keep it on SO quote. And then I want to group by customer. Perfect. And one thing that you might run into that I had before, so maybe you accidentally put sort groups by group ascending, and you can kind of see how, that's out of order, at least in my mind. So just go ahead and switch that back to value if you kind of want it to, go from greatest to least. But one other thing here, as I'm looking, clearly this isn't actually looking at the quote value. Maybe we're looking at quote number right now. So I want to go over to the series tab here, and this value field is how we're going to change that to be able to look at quote value. And if you know the quote name, you can, or I'm sorry, the field name, you can type it in here. A quicker way to do it, if you aren't sure what the field is to, I'm going to filter by number here. So I'm only looking at the numerical fields. And I'm going to go to this line extended price and change that to sum. And, as you can see there, you have some options. You could do averages or maximums or things like that, depending on what data you're trying to visualize. So there we go. That looks more like, quote value data. Couple of other things here. So, you do have some ability to work with different colors if you have a particular color scheme in mind, or you can just leave it as auto. And also the labels. A lot of times it can be helpful to show labels in line, and then you're actually going to see those values, in line with the visual. You can also, throw on a group label, and some other labeling options. Another tab you'll find yourself using quite a bit is this one right here. It's the drill down tab. So let's say you have a dashboard that you're giving to your sales team, and you don't want them to be able to drill down. And by drill down, I mean, clicking on this visual and it'll show the fields, and you kind of keep drilling down into the data. If you don't want that, you can simply turn those off. So just something to keep in mind there. And you can turn on and off the legend if you want to include that in the visual. And for bar charts, that's pretty much it. But those are just some things I find myself running into pretty often that can be useful to keep in mind. So I'll throw that one on there. And next, we'll show the trend chart. Trend charts are really useful. If you need to split data by month or by year or by quarter, this is a really great tool, because then you don't have to create a custom Power script to kind of group that into month or year. So show you what I mean here.
Yeah,
We'll
just
leave it
a quick interjection or two.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've ran into this. You've got what you think is a date field in the data set, but it really is text. So just a reminder, if you go back to our last month's presentation, field settings, if you just make sure your data types are correct, and then this trend chart will flow for you very easily. But if you run into that, if you're trying to do this, just a reminder to kind of make sure the data types are correct in the data set part. Okay.
Yeah, great point. And like just to visualize that too. So, if you run into a data set and you come into the date field here and there's no options, your date field is probably saved as a string or text. So you would just want to go into the data set to format that to a date. So yeah, so we would select, if you have multiple date fields, you can select which one you want to kind of drive this chart. And then the value field. There again, I'm going to filter down to number and sum that out. And then we'll go over to settings here. And this is where you're able to, change this to quarter or month or whatever you need to do. So let's do month here. And there we go. We got, this is demo, so kind of sparse data, but there we have some good data. So again, just a much quicker way of being able to split things out through month or year instead of having to do those Power scripts. Okay. All right. Let's see. One other one that I did want to show that I use pretty often, can be really helpful for sales dashboards, is this trend table. So what this allows you to do is look at variances over 30 days, a year, whatever you set. So to show you what I mean here, we'll change it to that, and we'll take out week to date. Okay, there we go. So this is kind of the view. Let me make sure. Okay, this is kind of the view that you get with those variance tables. So this year to date, it's looking at, obviously this year to date compared to last. And then for 30 days, or, you can change that to how many days you want. It's looking at kind of a rolling 30 days. So just keep that in mind when you are working with this. But what's really nice about this too, if you're more of a spreadsheet type of person, is you can actually then, well, I'm in edit, so I can't show that right now, but you can actually export this to Excel, which can be nice. Find myself using that one quite a bit. Let's see here. Anything else? Oh yeah, KPIs. So big number and gauge are kind of the two KPIs available to you. I'm going to hop into big number here. Just a nice way to, maybe at the top of the dashboard, put those KPIs that you're interested in. So keeping in spirit of a sales dashboard, we'll show this as kind of, that big number on sales or quotes in this instance. So one other thing here, if you don't want to see an approximate number like this, you can just switch that off and you're going to see the actual number there. So engage is very similar, but it's just going to, it's going to show you kind of that gauge format. So maybe you have a goal that you're, keeping track of. This would be a good way to visualize that.
Yeah, just one more reminder. A lot of times somebody will want a kind of a unique gauge or something, and then we now go to Magic Visual in those cases. It can kind of create really custom stuff. So just a reminder, you can go back to last month if you have any visuals that you're not seeing today that you kind of want to see. Magic Visual AI is the tool there. So
yeah, for sure. And another one that can be really nice, again, in a sales situation is this maps here. And in my mind, or in my opinion, it's kind of underused. So we will hop into a countries map here and find the US. So you have to select, the country that you're dealing with, of course. And there we go. So this part is, I think this is kind of the confusing part, or can be confusing. So let's first find the field that we want to, oh, let me hop into the SO quote. That would help a lot. There we go. So the field here is the field that the more often than not, the state is going to be in. So ship state. And in this particular data set, the format for the ship state is the postal code, like this. So that's where it kind of can get confusing. You got to make sure that you have your field mapping set up correctly. So, as you can see, there's a lot of different options here. Maybe you're dealing with latitude, longitude, maybe you're dealing with just the state spelled out, but just make sure that you have that so it matches, your data set. And as you can see there, now I'm actually getting some data here. So we can hop over to, this right here, the y-axis. So this is where you're going to set up, hey, what are we measuring in each state? And there you go. You kind of have a nice map of where your sales are happening. And it's, the darker the color, the more sales. So again, that one I find pretty useful as well, especially for sales dashboards. Yeah, anything you think of, Bill, that I'm missing here as far as?
No, I think I can bring it home on tables a little bit, and then we can get into the new stuff.
Awesome.
All right. Okay, I'm going to jump back over here. While we're here, just kind of a tip. This compass is just indicating that there's a draft of the report. So you want to be careful if multiple people in your organization are working in here, that you're not stepping on each other's toes. Sometimes you can always discard the draft in case you didn't have anything meaningful from before, and then just go back and edit there. But that's the purpose there. We're going to kind of go back to that orders panel here, and we're going to look at the table options. So we have data grid, which is kind of the closest thing to an Excel spreadsheet. If I'm going to pull up my orders data set, and I can, pretty much just, select all, or I could say I want to see, okay, customer name, date. I want to see the part numbers. I want to see how many open amount, what the order amount is, who's the rep, what's their name, and what the order number is. I can, just basically either select the lead, select all, and then here is where I can also just kind of start to align things, determine if I want to aggregate anything. So if I want to, let's say, total up the total order amount and see it in the table, then I'm going to go ahead and do it there. And just a quick note, almost all of these visuals, you always have a title place. Sometimes, your data set naming can be pretty gnarly. So, this is really, an open orders table, can just put a nice title in there. And then basically, that's the data grid. So Tyler already mentioned, we're going to go ahead and save this so we can see it. We have always the option to download here. We can download a CSV, Excel, etc. Okay, so that's the data grid. Now we're going to go ahead and clear that out. And we already covered the trend table, but there's also a pivot table and a summary table. So the pivot table is one I definitely go to quite often. And this is kind of a good way to summarize the data, but then give the user some drill-in paths that might be natural to think about. So I like to use the tree layout. And basically, when I'm going to rows, this is where I'm going to select kind of what path I want them to follow. So let's say we're going to present the data maybe first by month, then we want day. And let's go ahead and do that. We'll notice that now it's going to come in pre-grouped by the month, and then I can drill in and look at the day. And now right now I'm just, it's going to give me a count. But when I want to add what values I want to see here, this is where I have those options again to say, okay, let's look at the open amount maybe. Let's look at the overall count. We like that to see kind of how many orders have been placed. We could also do a count of how many lines have been ordered, and we can start to see these values come together. So here as well, we can adjust the header of these values. Okay, and then probably one of the very useful things too is a lot of times I might want something that's kind of aggregated or custom. So I can go in here, and this is going to give us the language for all the different aggregates we can use: sum, average, min, max, count, and then how many unique counts, and then also ratio, multiplication, add, subtract. And this is the way we can basically reference our data and create kind of custom, if I want to know the average value of an order, for example, we can go ahead and write a custom expression there. Okay. So if we look here, that I guess that's where we have the flexibility. Go ahead and apply this. And then what the user experience is going to be on the dashboard is, again, they'll just see the high level numbers, but we give them the option to drill in. And then just a reminder, if they have the drill in enabled, etc., they can always just click on anywhere, and then it's going to just give them that filtered data. In this case, 2 records out of 140. Okay. So that is the pivot table. It's a very flexible visual as well. And then last but not least, we're just going to go to a summary table. So summary is going to be very similar to pivot, but it's just going to kind of have that like pre-built in. So I'm going to go ahead and pick month here, customer name, and open amount. Let's do that. Okay. And this is going to give us a kind of summarized spreadsheet view. And rather than drilling in, I can as well just click on any number in the summary, and then it's going to show me the data if I want to do that. Or again, we can just have users looking at the data. So those are tables. So, we did all right there, maybe 24 minutes to build a, pretty basic sales dashboard. We've got a couple different records out there. That's why some of Tyler's that we're on the same dashboard, but really excited to kick this back over to Tyler. The next release, Rover AI, which includes BI, show you some of the new features there, what's going on with assistance there, and also some potentials for making dashboard building easier using AI. So Tyler, kick it back to you.
Awesome. All right. So yeah, like Bill said, really excited for this release that we have coming up in regards to Rover AI. And then again, Rover AI is kind of an addition to BI. So you have all your data in one place. But just kind of starting from the top here, one of the upgrades is going to be the models that you have access to for AI. So in the current release, we only have access to ChatGPT or OpenAI models. And as you can see in the next release, we're going to have Anthropic, Google, and OpenAI. And if you want to get really crazy, we actually have the ability to you can use your own models if you're fine tuning or training your own models. So that's really exciting. It's going to unlock a lot of potential here. Let me just hop over to assistance now, and we'll just hop into this one. Some upgrades to the assistants themselves. You can attach files now. That was a big one. I know a lot of people were really asking for, and you'll be able to do it now, which is really exciting. And again, just unlocks a lot of those other use cases that we're looking for. And another really exciting feature is the schedule. So you're able to basically schedule a query for an AI assistant. So I don't know, let's say that you're analyzing, sales prices each day or each week. You just want to make sure that they don't get below a certain margin. You can schedule basically a pricing analysis assistant. That's a tough word. To look at this or to ask that question against your data every week or every day, and then maybe even shoot off an email to you and say, hey, these quotes were below margin this week. So really excited about that one. And some of you may know, Informer has a lot of APIs, and what I mean by that, the BI has a lot of APIs available, to create data sets, to edit data sets, a lot of different things there. It's actually been kind of bundled up into a single package, so your assistants just have access to those. So instead of trying to search through and find the right API to maybe write to a data set, you can just ask the assistant, hey, I want to write to this data set. It's going to know what to do. So that really speeds up the creation process on some of that.
Yeah, some of you may have noticed there too, or not. If we could jump into that menu really quick. We're going to be talking about this. We're also doing events in different, in the West Coast, Midwest, East, where our customer bases are. And, we're going to talk about this app builder as well as part of this, the scheduling and the AI assistance in general, because we know it's a lot to chew up, but we just expect more content on this in the near term is what I would say. And then we'll also be kind of sending you guys communications so that we can go over this with you. We know it's a lot. So sorry, Tyler, just want to hit that. So
yeah, no, absolutely. It is a lot. There's a lot coming out, and don't expect you to process all of it right now. So on that though, another feature is going to be, so we're probably familiar with Magic Visuals at this point. The next release is going to have what's called Magic Reports. And you can do some really cool stuff with this. So, the example that we just spent 20 minutes going through, I want to show you what I built with a single prompt from kind of the same data set. So I'll hop over to apps here. I'm going to go to this account executive dashboard. So what I said for this prompt, and again, a single prompt was just, I'd like to create an account executive dashboard with the SO quote data set that, my reps can look at every day and keep a pulse on their accounts. And this is what it came back with.
Our demo sales team needs a little work with the 0% win rate, but
yeah. And it even allows you to filter. You can filter by status. And again, if I didn't like something on here, I could say, hey, I would like this changed. If you can explain what you're trying to build, you will be able to build it, which is really exciting to really give, customers some more power to just kind of build this stuff on your own. If you want to, that ability will be there.
Super exciting, just not having to be a data wizard to build dashboards in the future, even though we love and appreciate data wizards and the ones out there. But yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and it, like Bill said, there is so much more, especially to the magic reports, that we'll be, kind of going through in upcoming webinars. But just wanted to give everybody a taste of that, and I'm really excited for what's coming in the next couple of months here. So
yeah, can think a ton of applications in manufacturing and shipping, etc., for scheduling work with the assistants. So just super excited. Any questions there that we out there before we kind of wrap up for this week? Like I said, we'll get more into this in the future, but just we wanted to make sure we had some content out there on how to use the basic visuals, build the dashboard, just like we did the data sets last month. So, okay, we got no raised hands. We'll call that good. Thank you, everybody that joined, and we appreciate you. And just let us know if you have any questions. Feel free to email Tyler or myself. Okay. All right.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Bill.
Bye.